Good day sa lahat. Today we will talk about human rights. In 1948, the United Nations new Human Rights Commission adopted on December 10, 1948 the 30 Articles of Human Rights. Ito po ang human rights ay adopted sa lahat ng mga member nations of the United Nations. Bisa lang doon sa mga diktador na ayaw din nilang i-acknowledge. But let us revisit the articles na naging known as the Articles of Human Rights. Ulitin ko, on December 10, 1948, it was adopted by the United Nations. Sabi nga, ang doon sa preamble, the declaration unequivocally proclaims the inherent rights of all human beings. Disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in barbarous acts which have outraged the conscience of mankind. And the advent of a world in which human beings shall enjoy freedom of speech and belief and freedom from fear and want has been proclaimed as the highest aspiration of the common people. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Yun ang una. Diba? So, I am quoting Patrick Henry when he delivered his speech in the struggle of the United States. Give me liberty or give me death. So, ang usapin natin ngayon ay doon nakasintro sa Articles of Human Rights. So, una, ang meaning ng human rights. Sabi natin, human rights are inherent of all human beings, regardless of race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religion, or any other status. It includes the right to life and liberty, freedom from slavery and torture, freedom of opinion and expression, the right to work and education, and many more. There are 30 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The first article is, we are all born free and equal. We have our own thoughts and ideas. We should all be treated in the same way. Ito, nabasa ko ito sa United Nations. Yung free nila na discussion about human rights. And I am re-echoing it dito sa ating usapin. Sa lahat ng aking itiap, sa lahat na reviewer and reviewees, because let us revisit human rights. So, unang-una, we are all born free and equal. Second article, we don't discriminate. This right belongs to everybody, whatever our differences. Kahit ba nagkaiba ang ating pananaw sa buhay, hindi pwedeng mag-discriminate tayo. That is Article 2. We don't discriminate. So, ang pangatlo diyan, no? The right to life. We all have the right to life and live in freedom and safety. Diba? Una, we are born free and equal. We don't discriminate, and the right to life. Ito ay isang usapin na dapat nating isipin. Sa isang democratic form of government, this right to life shall at all times be respected. Diba? Karapatan mong mabuhay. Karapatan mo sa buhay mo. That you are free, that you have freedom, and to be secured. Diba? That is a right that all governments should ensure to all human beings, that you have the right to life. Article 4, no slavery, no torture. So, biro mo, hanggang ngayon, kahit ba with all the technology, marami pa rin tayong biktima, nagiging slaves, ginawang alipin. Diba? No one has any right to make us a slave. We cannot make anyone our slave. Hindi pwede. Iba yung iba, ang pananaw nila sa mga helper, domestic help, parang alipin. Hindi yun tama. The no slavery, Article 4 Declaration of Human Rights, shall be given meaning by us. Kasi biro mo, human being, tao ka, ikaw mismo, you treat somebody of your being like a slave. More so, when you torture, hurting people, nobody has any right to hurt us or to torture us. Torture includes psychological torture, not only physical torture. Diba? Kaya nga hindi pwedeng gawin mo silang alipin at higit sa lahat, pasakitan mo pa, saktan mo pa. You use violence even just to get what you want from them. So no torture. Number 6, you have rights no matter where you go. I am a person just like you. I have right kung saan ako gusto. Diba? Hindi pwedeng pigilan ka. Unless, for a valid reason, like mayroon kang sakit, you are a carrier, pwede. Diba? But basic, you have that right no matter where you go. Diba? 7, we are all equal before the law. The law is the same for everyone. It must treat us fairly. Hindi pwedeng dahil wala kang pira, hindi mo ma-avail ang batas. Marami sa atin. Diba? Kaya nga yung iba, gumagamit na lang ng violence, putting the law into their hands simply because hindi nila nakuha o nakamit itong human right that we are all equal before the law. Your human rights are protected by law. We can all ask for the law to help us when we are not treated fairly. All governments, member nations of the United Nations, shall see to it that the human rights or these rights enumerated are protected by law. So dapat nga tayo magiging secure, safe, and we can get the protections coming from the state. Number 8 yun. Number 9, no unfair detainment. Nobody has the right to put us in prison without good reason and keep us there or send us away from our country. Hindi pwedeng paalisin ka o lalong i-detain ka na walang basis. No, without good reason. Dahil ba ayaw ng gobyerno or the state, ayaw niya, no? That becomes a violation of Article 9 of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. Number 10, the right to trial. Dito, marami tayong usapin. Diba? If we are put on trial, this should be in public. The people who try us should not let anyone tell them what to do. The judges should see to it na yung batas ang sinunod. Diba? Yung the right to trial. Hindi pwedeng, next case, you're guilty, without giving the opportunity to present your evidence or your case. But ngayon naman, gusto nating bisitahin kung ano po ba ang mga sources or kailan kaya nag-umpisa ang mga human rights, no? In 539 BC, the armies of Cyrus the Great, the first king of ancient Persia, conquered the city of Babylon. But it was his next actions that marked a major advance for man. He freed the slaves. Pinakawalan, bigyan ng freedom. Declared that all people had the right to choose their own religion and establish racial equality. These and other decrees were recorded on a baked clay cylinder in the Akkadian language with cuneiform script, known today as the Cyrus cylinder. This ancient record has now been recognized as the world's first charter of human rights, the Cyrus cylinder. It is translated into all 6 official languages of the United Nations, and its provisions parallel the first 4 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Of course, from Babylon, the idea of human rights spread quickly to India, Greece, and eventually Rome. There, the concept of natural law arose in observation of the fact that people tended to follow certain unwritten laws in the course of life. And Roman law was based on rational ideas derived from the nature of things. Well, yun muna. Yung tinatawag natin na Cyrus cylinder. Okay? So, yun ang brief history ni Cyrus cylinder. So, ngayon, we proceed. Article 11, we're always innocent till proven guilty. Nobody should be blamed for doing something until it is proven. When people say we did a bad thing, we have the right to show it is not true. So yon, ito ang presumption of innocence. Sa lahat ng mga criminal cases, in-apply din ito. But this article 11, be in all cases, be criminal or anything civil that put yourself in a bad light, you are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Yung number 12, the right to privacy. Ito, di ba ang ating bansa, we have now already a law protecting privacy. Nobody should try to harm our good name. Nobody has the right to come into our home, open our letters, or bother us or our family without a good reason. Of course, may mga examples na invasion of the privacy, yon, mga issues doon sa mga police state. Pero this human right, the right to privacy, shall at all times be respected. Pero sinabi naman, without, unless for a good reason. Kaya this right, di ba? Hindi pwede kung wala namang rason. Di ba? So, ang privacy natin, ang ating karapatan na sa ating sariling mga pribadong buhay o mga acts na private, yun dapat irespeto natin. Okay? Article 13 talks about freedom to move. We all have the right to go where we want in our country and to travel as we wish. Di ba hindi pwedeng ikaw either i-expel, paalisin, or hindi pwedeng tanggapin? The freedom to move is a United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. It is a human right. 14, the right to seek a safe place to live. If we are frightened of being badly treated in our own country, we all have the right to run away to another country to be safe. Diba napansin mo yung usaping mga boat people? This is part of the right to seek a safe place to live. If you felt na you are not treated or you're in danger in your own country, pag umalis ka, it is your karapatan, katungod sa Bisaya, na maghanap ng safer place, even outside of your own country. Number 15, the right to nationality. We all have the right to belong to a country. Diba? Hindi pwedeng stateless ka. Wala kang sariling bansa. Diba? May mga taong umalis sa kanilang bansa dahil they are not treated fairly. They are persecuted in their own country. So when they transfer or seek asylum, they keep their nationality. Diba? That is a right. That cannot be taken by even the state. Na, dahil umalis ka, wala ka na. Hindi ka na Filipino, like tayo. We have the right to nationality. 16, marriage and family. Every grown-up has the right to marry and have a family if they want to. Men and women have the same rights when they are married and when they are separated. Diba? Karapatan din ito sa kasariling pamilya, mag-asawa. Diba? Imagine that even family, marriage are part of our human rights. And that the state should do everything to protect marriage and family. 17, the right to your own things. Everyone has the right to own things or share them. Nobody should take our things from us without good reason, of course. Diba? May pira ka, nagbili ka ng gusto mo. May karapatan ka. May karapatan kang magbili sa mga bagay-bagay, personal or real properties for your own use. Hindi pwedeng kunin sa state unless for a good reason. Like, for example, the use of property under the context of eminent domain. So, pwedeng pagbigyan ang Estado. But as far as owning things basic, that you have that right. Huh? Okay. 18, freedom to thought. We have the right to believe in what we want to believe, to have a religion or to change it if we want. Ating isip, pag-isip. Hindi pwedeng, huwag kang mag-isip ng ganon. Hindi pwedeng pigilan ka. Diba? More so on Article 19, freedom of expression. We all have the right to make up our own minds, to think what we like, to say what we think and to share our ideas with other people. This is covered under the freedom of expression. You can say what is in your mind. You can express yourself without fear from being arrested or from being persecuted or prosecuted. That is a human right, freedom of expression. Number 20, the right to public assembly. We all have the right to meet our friends and to work together in peace, to defend our rights. Nobody can make us join a group if we don't want to. Di ba? The right to associate includes the right not to associate. When we organize in public to express our grievances, di ba? In peace, in a peaceful rally, this is the right to public assembly as declared by the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. Bago natin ipagpatuloy ang Articles 21 to 30, of course, kanina or pinag-usapan natin yung the Syro cylinder that somehow started it. And of course, there are other documents asserting individual rights, such as the Magna Carta in 1215, the Petition of Right in 1628, the U.S. Constitution in 1787, the French Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen in 1789, and the U.S. Bill of Rights in 1791 are the written precursors to many of today's human rights documents. Diba? Sabi nga, Magna Carta or Great Charter was the most significant early influence on the extensive historical process that led to the rule of constitutional law today in the English-speaking world. So yon, ang 1215, di ba? The Magna Carta or the Great Charter signed by the King of England in 1215. After King John of England violated a number of ancient laws and customs by which England had been governed, his subjects forced him to sign the Magna Carta, which enumerates what later came to be thought as human rights. Yon ang literature, no? Among them was the right of the church to be free from governmental interference, the rights of all free citizens to own and inherit property, and to be protected from excessive taxes, na pag-usapan na yon. Establish the right of widows who own property to choose not to marry, and establish the principles of due process and equality before the law. It also contained provisions forbidding bribery and official misconduct. So, Magna Carta in 1215 was a crucial turning point in the struggle to establish freedom. Diba? So, yun. Napag-usapan, no? Nagumpisa doon din sa Magna Carta. Ngayon, pag-usapan natin ang other rights. Well, Article 21, the right to democracy. We all have the right to take part in the government of our country. Every grown-up should be allowed to choose their own leaders. Totoo kaya ito? In the Philippines, where vote buying seems to be the name of the game, I really do not know. But that is not what is meant here by the right to democracy. When we participate in government or governance for that matter, it also a requirement that the people should choose their leaders na leader na talagang leader, hindi yung binili ka. Article 22, Social Security. We all have the right to affordable housing, medicine, education, and child care, enough money to live on, and medical help if we are ill or old. Diba? Social Security. Ito ay karapatan. Yung mga senior citizen privilege, part of the right to Social Security. Yung pabahay, that is an obligation of the state to provide housing, shelter, hospitals, to take care of our health, free education. That is part of the right of human being, Social Security. Yun na nga, napag-usapan yung Petition of Right in 1628 by the English Parliament and sent to Charles I as a statement of civil liberties. Refusal by Parliament to finance the king's unpopular foreign policy had caused his government to exact forced loans and to quarter troops in subject houses as an economic measure. Arbitrary arrest and imprisonment for opposing these policies had produced in Parliament a violent hostility to Charles and to George Villiers, the Duke of Buckingham. The Petition of Right, initiated by Sir Edward Coke, was based upon earlier statutes and charters and asserted four principles. No taxes may be levied without consent of Parliament. No subject may be imprisoned without cause shown or reaffirmation of the right of habeas corpus. Diba? Yun. And of course, no soldiers may be quartered upon the citizenry, and martial law may not be used in time of peace. Doon sa Petition of Right, doon din na pag-usapan yung mga karapatan. Diba? Like yung workers' rights. Every grown-up has the right to do a job, to a fair wage for their work, and to join a trade union. Yung mga karapatan na pag-usapan doon sa Petition of Right, tapos na pag-usapan sa Bill of Rights ng United States of America. Workers' rights. Article 24. The right to play. Yun. We have the right to rest from work and relax. Ang ibig sabihin dito, you can have your own time, play, relax. Kaya nga sa ibang bansa or sa ating bansa, mayroon din tayong vacation leave. Mayroon din tayong mga dynamics na trainings, no, para relaxation. Or pag birthday mo, libre, holiday sa sarili mo. 25. Food and shelter for all. We all have the right to a good life. Mothers and children, people who are old, unemployed, or disabled, and all people have the right to be cared for. Ito ang karapatan na hindi masyadong nasunod, even in our country. Di ba? Kawawa, maraming kawawa. Mga wala silang pira. Dapat ang government will provide them free housing. Di ba? Yung mga matatanda, libre na sana. Well, there are LGUs na libre yung hospitalization sa ating bansa. Pag senior citizen ka, libre. Pero, libre na sigurong ano din, kabaong. Kasi mamamatay ka rin, punta ka hospital. Walang medicine. Di ba? Walang bahay. Okay. Number 26 article. The right to education. Ito, ang ito ang palaging pinagdebatian. Ang right to education. Education is a right. Primary school, basic education should be free. We should learn about the United Nations and how to get on with others. Our parents can choose what we learn. Di ba? So, dapat lahat na tao makapag-aral man lang sa basic education. Hayaan mo na lang yung college. Pero dito sa ating bansa, the right to education minsan, hindi na kapag-aral, walang pamasahe. Di ba? Kasi malayo yung school. Mayroon namang school, wala naman siya pagkain. Di ba? Ang experience ko doon sa States, United States of America, libre ang pagkain sa mga bata. Sana. Well, for a while, nag-enjoy tayo ng Nutriban, panahon sa kay Ferdinand Marcos Sr., may Nutriban kasi pag-aaral yun noon ng United States na makulang tayo sa nutritious food. Okay? Article 27, copyright. Of course, copyright is a special law that protects one's own artistic creations and writings. Others cannot make copies without permission. We all have the right to our own way of life and to enjoy the good things that art, science, and learning brings. Of course, intellectual dishonesty, hindi tayo papayagan. Mayroon din tayong karapatan to protect our own writings, our own product. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng copyright. Article 28. Article 28 provides a fair and a free world. There must be proper order so we can all enjoy rights and freedoms in our country and all over the world. Fair. Diba? Sa Bisaya pa, patas. Kailangan equal na there is what you call fairness. And in the free world, that is a right. We have a right, Article 29, responsibility. Of course, we have a duty to other people. And we should protect their rights and freedoms. Mismo, diba? Yung Article 1 to 28, mga karapatan yun, pero mayroon din tayong obligasyon, ang responsibilidad na protektahan yung ibang tao na sa kanilang human rights. Then number 30, no one can take away your human rights. Walang taong makakuha sa karapatan mo. Ha? So, gentlemen and ladies, di ba initially sinabi natin na ang ibang mga basic sources that lead to what we are now enjoying, human rights. The United States Declaration of Independence in 1776. The United States Congress approved the Declaration of Independence. Its primary author, Thomas Jefferson, wrote the declaration as a formal explanation why Congress had voted on July 2nd to declare independence from Great Britain more than a year after the outbreak of the American Revolutionary War. And as a statement announcing that the 13 American colonies were no longer part of a British Empire. As you well know, nagiging sakop yung ibang mga estado sa United States of America under Great Britain. So, sila'y umalis. Congress issued the Declaration of Independence in several forms. Diba? It was initially published as a printed broadsheet that was widely distributed and read to the public. Philosophically, the Declaration stressed two themes: individual rights and the right of revolution. These ideas became widely held by Americans and spread internationally as well, influencing in particular the French Revolution. Diba? So, yun. Napag, even in the United States Declaration of Independence, napag-usapan din yung mga rights. Then, when they started writing in 1787, the Constitution of the United States of America, di ba? It is the oldest written constitution now. The first 10 amendments of the United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, came into effect on December 15, 1791, limiting the powers of the federal government of the United States and protecting the rights of all citizens, residents, and visitors in American territory. The Bill of Rights protects freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the right to keep and bear arms, the freedom of assembly, and the freedom to petition. So, these are all parts of the rights of the United States that eventually being considered in the 1948 United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. So these Articles 1 to 30, yon ang magiging guide sa mga free nations that indeed human beings like us is protected by human rights. Huwag kalimutan mag-subscribe sa ating channel.